Just like a across the board thing. I don't know. Maybe not across the board. I digress. We back at it. Ooh, we
Yep.
got it. Is that a shirt I see over there?
Yes. So I just wanted to show this if I could. You see the whole thing?
Yeah, I see the top half. If you want to go back a little bit and lift it up. There we go. That's the whole
All right.
thing now.
All right. So as you can see, we got the US, there's the UK, there's France, and then there's Spain, Argentina, and Brazil,
It's fucking cool.
right? And Germany also up there. And these are like the originals. Like this is where it originally had started with the expansion.
Mm,
Eventually it got to a place here, and it's kind of backwards, but I think it will show up right because it is backwards. So
right.
this has US, France, Sweden, Uganda, Czech Republic, Italy, South Africa, Switzerland, UK, Ireland, Canada, Belgium, Spain, Germany. Now, realizing Canada, it started in Toronto with Monica, and she rests in peace. And it eventually got to Montreal and Quebec. And
Mm,
that in itself is really great to me. It's tough really to keep these things going, especially if you're a person doing it yourself. Like one thing that you definitely should know about end of the week is the people that take on this responsibility to actually do these events, they're doing it on their own time, out of their own pocket, you know what I mean, in hopes to make the money back, etc. And it's like an investment, but it really takes up a lot of your time. So it's tough to keep these things going without a squad of people to back you up. So in a few cases, there's people that didn't have the support to keep it going. You know what I mean? But we always try to lend support as much as we can. But it's tough when you're in another country. It's like I could send you money and all that, but I can't physically be there to do some of the work for you. And sometimes you can't actually send the money. So we've had a roller coaster with places that have done EOW and have fallen out, but they always will exist as chapters. And if they ever want to restart, we are definitely more than happy to help and make that happen.
mm,
So I think one of my greatest travels, I think, as far as this whole EOW thing goes, is Germany, because we were at a point where a lot of the countries were attending. So I remember meeting Sino from South Africa, and I also remember him eventually having some heart trouble, and then the community that is EOW actually got together and raised the money so that he could have the surgery that he needed, and it was successful and extended his life. So one of the great things about EOW is it really is like a family, and we will do stuff like that for people in the family as much as we can. So uh, I definitely know that a lot of people I've met have been like EOW saved my life. You know what I mean? I actually said we should make a TV show and make it a series because it's just a little bit life changing for some people. It definitely was for me in the fact that I no longer needed the validation of an industry. You know what I mean? To do the music that I wanted to do, to travel, be on tours. We accomplished all of that with End of the Week, and it was kind of on more on my terms than a label's terms or another person's terms. You know what I mean? That's controlling things. So that was always a beautiful thing to me that I always appreciated. But there's a lot of people that told me like they were getting in trouble, they weren't doing the right thing, and then EOW came along and it gave them something to focus on,
mm.
participate in, and keep them out of trouble and be more beneficial to people than harmful. And I definitely, at every time I've traveled and gone to another country, I've gotten that vibe. One thing I want to say to everybody that's listening is if you ever get a chance, like people in New York, there's people that straight stay confined to a 10, 20 block radius. Like they don't even go into another borough. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? You could be in the Bronx and you've never traveled to Brooklyn. You know what I'm saying? Which to me is really crazy. But even outside of that, even on a bigger scale, like don't stay in the country that you're in. You should visit other countries because
Mm.
then that just opens your brain up to how things are. Because I definitely, when I went, the first one I went to was in Spain, and it was eye opening. It was a little bit racial to me when I was out there, you know what I mean? But overall, the people that I met and actually conversed with and hung out with were all great people. And it definitely, I'll tell you what messed me up was siesta. Like, we spend all our time working mad hard. You got some people work part times on top of full times. I was one of those people at the time. And when I went out to Spain, I was like, yo, these dudes straight take a 2 hour break in the middle of the day. Like, what is that about? And to the point, like, we went out one day. We're like, yo, we're gonna go by these churches. We're gonna look around in Spain. We're gonna like sightsee. And I was like, cool, let's do that. We went outside, and the parking lot of the hotel had like a flea market going on. And there's mad stuff there. And we're looking like, yo, ready to buy stuff. And I'm like, yo, hold up. Let's go do our sightseeing. And when we come back, we could do that shopping. You know what I mean? But let's go stick to the plan and do it. They was like that. Let's do it. Yo, we came back at 12:30, and there was literally a street sweeper sweeping up the parking lot. All of the joints was gone. And we was like, what happened? You asked the dude inside. He's like, it's a siesta now. It only happens during the day. Once we get to noon, it's over. And I was like, wow, yo. And they literally shut down till 2 o'clock. Take a nap. There's one 24-hour spot, you know what I'm saying? But other than that, there's everybody sleep. They got the shutters on the windows, steel, some wood. Like, yo, I'm gonna go in complete darkness and take a nap. Or not, but you get your time off and then you go back to work for a couple more hours. And I always thought that always messed my head up. Like, what are we doing in America, yo? Like, y'all already got me on some 8 hours. Then I got to do overtime, do a 10, 12, 16, and then you don't want to pay me for all the time I've done. And it's real crazy. Whereas in other places, they're straight like, yo, take it easy. Like, we don't want you to kill yourself. We want you to be fresh. You know what I
Mm.
mean? Be good for when it's time to work. And I appreciate that. Another thing that I noticed when overseas is it's a lot more laid back and less tense. Like where every place I've been, I've enjoyed myself, and I always will compare it to home. And I be like, yo, I don't know what we're doing in the United States, but we need to keep up with these other countries and do
Mm.
something for the people. It's a little more people oriented, but every country, of course, has its problems with authority, etc.
No, but it's really interesting that you say that because I happen to work for a software company, and Montreal is quite an international city. It's not quite New York, but it's in a list, I guess, on the low end of that list, but still there. And so there's a lot of people I've met that weren't born here. So I work on my team with this lady who was born in Germany. And when she describes the German work culture, it's more like you go to work, you don't really have friends. You just do your shit. There's no small talk. You get your shit done, and the second you leave, it's fuck off till tomorrow. And I'm like, yo, I'm like, I don't know, because personally, I'm not the biggest fan of all the small talk and friendliness. Like, I'm not like, it's not that I don't like my colleagues, but we have different like lives, so it's like hard to connect with them, whatever. So I'm like, yo, let's
Mhm.
just get the work done. But no, it's all this like, hi, how are you? Let's talk about the house and the kids and all this other crap. And it's like, yo, we waste so much time. Honestly, we waste so much time at work. That's the facts of it. So work from home is actually nuts, right? Because it's got a lot of us to be more productive because we don't talk to each other, which is just nutty. But it kind of goes into the point of like maybe there is a lot to learn from a lot of these other cultures and a lot of these experiences that we can take back home. Because I do this. I went to Pakistan one time, and what I noticed there was like this huge focus on family. Like work and stuff isn't the same. You can't really go out on your own and get a job so easily and go live on your own. But instead, everyone's just used to living in these big households with lots of people collaborating and stuff. But they weren't unhappy. They were very happy people. And I was like, yo, because if you look at how everything gets painted on like the TV, it's like you'd think everyone's miserable if they're not from home. But you go somewhere like that, and you're like, why is everyone so happy? Isn't it like we're living the best life ever? Don't we have all this? And they're like, yo, I love my family. I'm like, yo, that's a big sentence. You don't hear. Not to say that it's like terrible. That's not the most common sentiment back home. Is all I'm saying. Compared to
Right.
the love that these people have for family and community and working together. And I'm like, damn, that was hugely eye opening for me. So I completely get where you're coming from with all that. That's really interesting. Um,
Yeah.
but when it
That's
comes
why
to
I like when we do the world finals. Because when you do the world finals, people come through and you literally hang with these people over a course of a few days, like Moss Law was saying, and you get to know them. By the time you're done, you're like, yo, this is like a new family member, and you're like tight and you love it, and you're like cheering them on when they're doing their competition. So you don't even want anybody to lose. You're like, I wish you all could be winners, but of course there has to be a winner in a
mm,
competition. So, but it's a great thing, I think, just to meet new people. Like, it's something that should consistently happen with us. But we get into shows or we're not outgoing, so you don't meet people like that. But in this arena, you don't have to be outgoing to meet somebody. It's like
mm,
you should meet everybody that's participating if you're participating, and that's what makes it good. And I'll bring this one up because we went and did the World Finals in London before, right? And I remember that the guy that had won was a guy named Dirty Mac who was with us, and we took him out there, and the whole time he was so concentrated on winning that he didn't actually get the experience of building with all of these people from other countries and all this. He kind of separated himself from everything. Like, oh, I got to get this rhyme down. I got to do my thing and I got to kill it. And then what was crazy was he didn't do that well in the actual competition. But we got to the final round with the trade fours, and he traded fours with these people, and it was mad dope. And as soon as the competition was over, everything else we did for the rest of the time, he was chilling with these people. He was having a good time, rhyming back and forth, and they all like, damn, like you should have done that during the competition. You know what I'm saying? Like now you rhyming with people, but now you're at ease and there's a different vibe. And that
mm,
yeah, that was a lesson for myself. Like a few people back in the States was like, yeah, I didn't think he should have won. And me, I was like, nah, that's not what it was. The problem was that we didn't sit him down and tell him how to soak in everything and enjoy himself. Like you shouldn't have to do that, but once you see a person not doing it was our job to tap him on the shoulder and be like, listen, man, like I know you want to do well in the competition, but there's more to it than just this competition. You're in another country. Like enjoy the fact that you're with people from other places, learn about them, expand yourself. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I think that was a big lesson for me in the world of EOW because you don't get these opportunities all the time. Like I definitely at one point in time was like, yeah, I'm going to every world finals, but it hasn't ended up that way. But the
mm.
ones that I went to, I loved them. You know what I mean? And I wish I could go to every single one. And I'm definitely going to the next one, especially
You
after
know
this.
what I say, yeah?
Yeah,
I
please.
always say this because you see, with this end of the week, when you go to the World Finals and you make these friends, you now have a passport for life. You can go to any one of these countries, holler end of the week, and you have people that will show you the real side of the country without all of the central palaver, you know? So that is
Mm,
another beauty at end of the week, the world passport it gives
that's really cool. I really love that personally.